All right, so another sort of reason that TCMC was plopped into northeastern, north central Pennsylvania, and by the way, Williamsport is one of our 3 clinical campuses, which I'll talk about in just a second. So people tend to think of us as a Scranton Medical School, but Dr. Keith Schinberger, who a lot of you probably know, is our Associate Dean for the Williamsport campus. So, as it turns out, our major benefactor, the folks that gave us the money to get started, had a big problem. Blue Cross of Northeastern Pennsylvania, this is almost hard to believe, but when you think about how expensive things are, it's probably not that hard to believe. They pay about $1 billion a year for care outside of the area. And we think about that primarily as New York and Philadelphia. So if you go in and you get some diagnosis, or your child gets a diagnosis that something is pretty severe, and the business is called tertiary and quaternary care. So the further you drive into specialists, meaning your child has an ophthalmological problem that is going to require very serious expertise, there's probably somebody at CHOP that does that. So now, you have to deal with the inconvenience of not being at home. You have to be in Philadelphia to receive that level of care. The other thing about it is it's economic. So think about if let's say we only kept a quarter of that here. Let's say we kept $250 million in northeastern and north central Pennsylvania that didn't need to migrate out because access to those level of specialists was available here. So Blue Cross certainly had some incentives to get some what I call medical infrastructure built in our area. That problem is also compounded because of access to clinical trials. For those of you that are cancer survivors, and this room is probably big enough to where we have a population of folks like that, if you get a cancer diagnosis, you're probably going to be interested at some point in a clinical trial. And right now we just don't have, we have very little access to that. So if you want to do that, you're going to have to go to New York or Philadelphia. Part of our medical school that is a real value added, and I'm going to talk about that in a second, is basic science research. We have people working on cancer research, particularly related to this population or the population of northeast, north central Pennsylvania.